Kind of a funny story how Playing with Ice came about. And initially, it was a boy meets girl kind of story, where there's this guy who's just really kind of, he's unhappy with his life. So he goes in for this interview, and it's just the weirdest interview you've ever experienced, and the whole time you're like, what in the world is going on with this interview? And he kind of like initially has this attraction to the woman that's interviewing him, but he also kind of says some things that steps on her toes, and they kind of like don't quite, get along initially, but then there is still like a little bit of tension, if you will, because there is maybe a mutual attraction. And the idea being that in the end, you find out that, it's this cryogenics program, this guy dislikes his life and he wants to be frozen for 200 years or whatever, and in hopes that tomorrow, 200 years from now, life will be way better. I started having, sort of threw out the idea to Christina, who is the executive producer for Stories by the River, and we just sort of, were kind of playing around with the idea, chatting about it over the course of several days. And at one point, she had a conversation with her husband, Dominic, and she kind of just threw out there, what if it wasn't a, boy meets girl story, but what if it was girl meets girl story? And so as we started talking about, what if this movie really is about girl meets girl? And I started having actually conversations with some other people, and through those conversations I started realizing that actually the idea of longing for a better tomorrow is very uniquely something that marginalized groups of people experience. And the reality today, as I look around and I think about groups of people that are still marginalized and still probably hoping for a better tomorrow, that people that would legitimately say, maybe I would like to be frozen for 200 years and wake up in a world that maybe accepts me for who I am. I thought, that there's a real story there. There's something that's actually really powerful about making this a young gay woman who's just had enough of this world, that her background leads her to this position of saying, I'm done with this existence here now. Maybe 200 years from now it's better. But still be able to then tackle this idea that maybe what makes any point in time a worthwhile point in time to exist and to be alive and to live is that we enter into a relationship with each other. Unlike any other film I've ever made, people have really made a point of coming and talking to me and saying, that was really moving. The script was really moving. And what I find interesting is that not everybody is coming to me and saying, that's really moving because I'm gay or because I know somebody who's gay. Many people are coming in and just saying it's a profoundly moving story because of its universal appeal. I do really see the story of Playing with Ice as being much bigger than just this particular topic of homosexuality and of sexual orientation. I think it's much bigger than that. And really the universal appeal of it is Jocelyn's loneliness, the fact that she does feel so depressed about her life. She really is unhappy with the way her family has treated her. And it's just framed in this particular story in this particular way, but I think that reality exists for so many of us. We've experienced a sense of displacement, a sense of loneliness, a sense of not being understood or accepted for who we are, not being able to open up. I think one of the most powerful things I connect with is Emma's journey in the film, because I feel like in so many ways, many of us experience that desire to really open up and be honest with people about sort of our innermost selves, and we find ourselves unable to do that. It's really vulnerable, it's really scary, we're going to be judged, we're going to be, maybe ostracized. I think that's a really powerful moment actually between Emma and Jocelyn, when Jocelyn talks about how her family treated her and basically threw her out, and that's exactly Emma's fear. That's why Emma can't come out. because she's afraid of that exact kind of thing. And again, for a lot of people, it may not specifically be related to sexual orientation and coming out, but that feeling of feeling like I can't be myself is real. And it's devastating when you have to live your life, in a closet, as it were, whatever that closet is. It's devastating when you have to force yourself to sort of wear an exterior, a facade that isn't true to who you are, that keeps you from being happy, from really fully realizing your own potential even. And my hope is people can connect with that idea and realize that I do think the cure to that is vulnerability and relationship. The interesting twist for me as I began to work on this was that initially Jocelyn was the main character, and in the end, if you notice, Jocelyn walks out and we stay on Emma. And Emma really, for me, in many ways, becomes the main character because her choice to engage now and to basically leave the door open for this relationship means making a choice of, I'm going to do what I need to do to live my life.
One thing this job has taught me is that everyone's life is tough.
Is this real?